back, everyone. It's Ben Nelson with the Tech Intern Show here. I'm here with my buddy Andrew Peterson. We're back in Des Moines, right outside the window. I might show a little shot later on, just like the whole skyline. It's so sick, dude. Such a cool space.
The sun goes down, it'll look great, man.
So cool. Cool. Well, I brought Andrew on. He was involved in a little blog post that I did 3 years ago with Made in Des Moines, part of like my Angler's Hatch sort of journey there. And they brought me on. Was like, hey, why don't you do a little blog post, kind of write about yourself? And I was like, oh, dude, just this little junior in high school. Like, I was so pumped. Yeah. So that's kind of where we got connected. And then I just kind of followed you throughout your journey, and you started doing a bunch of filmmaking stuff. And I was like, not very many people in Des Moines do this kind of thing. And it was more of like I was getting into the creative industry. I was watching other people create, and I was like, dude, this guy's got a real niche. So I'm super happy to bring you on and
happy to be here,
have you talk a little bit about yourself. I'll probably just drop it to you, go into a little bit about who you are, kind of where you got your start and what you do now.
Okay. Well, I'm Andrew Peterson, like you just said. I don't know why I need to restate that, but I'm a filmmaker here in town. I started a company called Moingona on the chest. And that kind of stemmed from an earlier blog I started called Made in DSM, which we interviewed you for. Which, if you haven't checked that out, Made in DSM, first and last name, probably gonna be him. So, after that, like we basically started doing a vlog, and I got into making videos. And even before that, I loved film, and I worked. I used to be like an audio producer in a way, so I made electronic music, and I don't know, I remember vividly like helping out with a 40-hour film festival, and I helped record audio for that, and then I helped make a score for it, and something about that just like stood in the back of my head.
Yeah.
And fast forward 4 years later, I was basically trying to come up with ideas to make more content. Derek and I started a vlog because I just love video, and people started seeing that, and then I'm like, well, I want to take this more serious, and then I started actually doing more commercial work, and I started working with like directors of photography, like gripping, like just working on sets as much as I could, and then I just like took the reins and was like, I'm gonna pick up the camera and just make my own movies.
Yeah,
and that's just how it happened.
Cool.
So,
and that's what you do today, right? Yeah. You just film, create, and produce stuff like that
every day.
That's so cool, man.
So it's like right now I give like a small plug. It's like I do work for like a real estate company called Jerry's Homes, and I even told the president this when he was interviewing me and like asked me if I wanted to be a part of this. I was like, I said, I never want to do weddings, and I never wanted to do real estate. Those are the two things that I said I'd never do. And after having some more conversations with him and like what he wanted to do, I was like, hey, this is like a different brand, and yeah, sure, I might be shooting houses, but you guys have a different like feel, and like your passion's in a different place than just building homes. Like like trying to make more of a lasting impact. And I was like, all right, I'm on board.
Set.
And I was just, I've been doing that for the last 3 months for them. But I went freelance for it back in last November. So I left my comfortable tech job.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just want to make movies. And I was doing that. I did that over the winter. And basically just like how my dog feels right now in the background, I just needed to break out and do something.
Yeah.
And I just instantly got headhunted by like everybody.
Really?
And it was it was a crazy feeling because I didn't think anybody knew who I was, and it was because I was showing up and putting out content. You just never know who's paying attention,
dude.
And that's
so cool.
Yeah.
I always think, because I'm doing kind of like my own freelance marketing thing, and I like haven't published a website, but I've been building it for months and kind of like marketing myself. But I've always thought that it would be like really difficult for someone to notice you, but then it's like if you just if you make the best stuff, like if you do the best work, people are going to notice you. So that's interesting that you say that.
It's like I think I always look up to like Gary Vee. Like you look over.
I love Gary Vee.
3 Gary Vee books over there.
Yeah.
A couple Tim Ferriss books.
Just put out content.
I think it's not just putting out content. I think it's just being authentic. And I know you had Ashley Brady.
And that's what this is. Yeah.
Just showing up, trying stuff, like just talking with your friends, like building that community is like how things work. And I remember I never even like thought of the word like authentic until Ashley Brady was like, you and Derek are just authentic people. And I'm like, I'm just being me.
Yeah.
So no one needed to like feed that or tell me that I was doing that. I was just showing up every day. I was making what I wanted to create. I was showing off people that I cared about.
Right.
And that just kind of like I said, you never know who's actually like paying attention to like who's the creator of that.
Right.
And like, say for example, like if I wasn't making content that I was making me happy and I wasn't being authentic to who I was,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be where I am right now.
Yeah.
Because if you can always tell who like fake people are.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And you just don't want to like
It's
have
funny.
any part of that.
Yeah.
Because you're like, you're just kind of like, I always think if I get around people that are like trying to like fake the funk, I kind of get nervous. I'm like, what do you expect me to do? Like, I'm not bending to you.
Yeah.
So
I hear you on
yeah,
that, like through the headphone on that, dude.
Yeah.
We connect for sure. I follow Gary Vee a lot. A lot of my friends like aren't in the same sort of business ecosystem as me, and so they don't follow him. But I really like his stuff. More on the content creative industry. I was going to talk a little bit about Des Moines with you, and just like sort of the creative industry in Des Moines itself, like your buddies, the people that you work with. Kind of talk a little bit about that community.
Yeah, I think there's like an underbelly of us, and you've got everything from like guys that are just picking up cameras for the first time, guys and girls picking up cameras for the first time, and then you've got it's like a very interesting like leap because you've got the guys that have like worked at Meredith or own like studios or they do like the high end corporate like videos.
Okay.
And then you've got like young scrappy kids that just like are just picking up cameras that just are just learning and trying things. And then like there's a middle ground of like other scrappy creatives that are just doing things to do things and just they're making to make.
Yeah.
And it's fun because like for example, I can go work with say someone like Bruce James Bale from Deft, who is like, in my opinion, is probably one of the better like DPs, like probably like for his like age group and like even for not his age group for his like style, it's probably like one of the better ones that's up and coming. Like you probably see this kid in like Hollywood one day.
Okay.
Like if he just keeps on grinding, like that's where he'll probably end up.
Yeah.
Because I think like he just finished a feature film out in like Quad Cities.
Dude.
So you know like there's like that level of like talent that's happening here in Des Moines, and like it's up to everybody from that scrappy kid just picking up a camera to like those corporate people just to keep like that positive sense going.
Yeah.
So our film community just keeps on growing, and it's getting more noticed. Like I said that like when I went freelance, I kind of got headhunted. Well, like the first thing that I did is I went to like a film meetup over in Crane, and it was like the Iowa Facebook film group was like, hey, we're just going to do this thing. Like, everybody show up. And it was pretty much like, there's people that knew me that I didn't know who they were. And it was kind of a weird thing.
Whoa.
Like, I'm just making like weird YouTube videos. Like,
that's cool.
Yeah. So, but for example, I got done with that. And then I started working on a big project for Bravo Des Moines with Israel Lopez.
Yeah, sure.
And then I got to work with Bruce for the first time and like all these things. And then flash forward 3 months later, like Bruce and Wes, I can't think of his last name right now. Not Wes Anderson, but there's a director named Wes. I cannot think of his last name right now. Shot a short film in this very apartment.
Nice.
And I got to help out and grip and like take behind the scenes photos and all that stuff. It's just so I think it's just because like there's all these niches, we just like we're slowly all starting to work together and we're furthering our culture.
Right.
Which is cool.
That's super cool.
That was like a weird ramble.
I love it, dude. Cool. So I'm like starting to do the creative thing. I love taking photos of my buddies that fish. You know, I'm big into fly fishing. With the angler's hatch and that kind of creative stuff. But I don't do a ton of video, and so this is like my first experience to like little video stuff. Episode 10. And so I was wondering, like, as you were getting your start with the video and to where you are now, what kind of skills have you picked up or things like little habits that have stuck with you like throughout, you know, like whether it be like editing or the style that you shoot in, you know, what are a couple of those things?
I think the first thing that I did, and I got this bit of advice from like Colin Powers was just shoot on manual. Sorry. It was basically just shoot on manual and just learn how the camera works.
Yeah.
And then like with shooting with video with like a film camera, they use something called like 180 degree shutter rule, which you basically you're shooting on 24 frames on your camera, you'd shoot it like at least like 1/50th, right? Or 48th your camera does that. So it's like there's like those kind of settings for like making sure you're matching exposure and like you're matching exposure and then actually making sure like the camera is actually looks correct, and then you start like dealing with your ISOs and all those different things.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing for me was to like force myself to use the appropriate settings, and then learn how to model light or learn how to use natural light to actually to get the image that I wanted to. One of the biggest things that I learned from the very beginning was to like start using what's called like a histogram.
Okay.
And this is getting super nerdy. Probably.
That's like the big graph thing. Okay.
So it's like
cool.
basically making sure you have a mountain in the middle and you don't have a mountain on the left or right.
Exactly.
Because for the most part, if you're matching a histogram, right, you're matching your exposure, right? So
yeah,
there's like different things like that. Like those are the first two things that when I was like shooting video, those are like learn how to use a histogram, learn how to just properly expose.
That's cool.
Because if you're not exposing right, you're just
shots off.
Shot.
Yeah.
So I think that was like the biggest thing, and then the second thing was because I was an audio nerd. I always like made sure that if I knew the video wasn't going to maybe turn out the greatest, like I wanted the audio to work.
Yeah.
So like if I'm shooting like a corporate event and I just know everything's like really purple or like I can't get the white balance right, like as long as I'm capturing what they're doing and then I'm getting clean audio, the video can look like crap because and like as long as they can follow along with the audio,
right,
that's it. Like you can watch a video shot in a potato, but if there's a compelling audio story,
I agree.
Yeah.
That's interesting that you say that. That makes total sense.
So those are my two.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you find I'm sure you follow Gary Vee, so you know D-Rock, but you know like he refines his editing style a lot, like continuously.
Right.
You find that you do that too?
So the editing thing to me is like where my passion lies because I love to tinker, and I think when it comes down to it, the story is like finalized in the edit.
Mm-hmm.
You think about like watching a Christopher Nolan movie; it doesn't always like follow one linear path that jumps around.
Yeah, right.
And that's because of like clever editing. Like they already have the story, and then you're just basically adding edits to it to make it. So I'm on like an internal tirade with YouTube right now.
Okay.
Like so because I've been working with legit like filmmakers in town. And like I watch how they basically put a story together and how I put a story together that basically would then match my edit.
Mm-hmm.
I think too many people have a crutch on using fancy transitions and fancy techniques and like overdoing their color grades and all these different things. And I'm not going to say I never did that because I did.
Yeah.
But I had to learn it.
Yeah.
And
with time and shooting more and seeing more, right?
Yeah, and I think there's a time and place for every different style of editing. Like for example, like the Gary Vee like hustle porn like YouTube videos, they need that fast paced cut. They need like, those kind of things. If I'm interviewing like an author, I don't need to have like splash transitions and I don't need to have like fast cuts. Like I need her to just explain something and I need to see the emotion. I need to like see those different things.
Yeah.
And I think there's a delicate balance that I've learned that's been there's a delicate balance that I've learned with cutting my edits that it keeps a certain pace, for example, that a lot of people I think have to work a long time to like develop and learn.
Okay.
And I think I've just learned that pace from basically hanging out with other filmmakers, other editors, and then just like the companies I've worked with.
Yeah.
I think it's like working with Fontenelle and like seeing like the detail that they put in like their leather work.
Seriously.
I'm not gonna do like crazy transitions.
Right.
And I don't think they deserve that crazy transition. I think they deserve to actually let things play out and let people like organically see.
Wow.
One quick example. I always think of. Did you ever see the movie West Side Story when you were a kid? Do you know how like notice how wide West Side Story is shot in? It's very wide. It's very like.
Now that I think about it, yeah.
So you think about like you have dancers on one side doing their own thing. You have dancers on the other side doing their own thing.
Okay.
You yourself become the editor in that situation, and you get to watch what you want to watch on that screen.
Okay.
Because there's people that have done the choreography for that entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if maybe ever been like forced to watch like Bring It On with your girlfriend, like the cheerleading dancing show. Okay.
Haven't watched it.
Okay, or say like Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
If you ever notice, they cut two things that you're supposed to pay attention to. They don't leave things on wides. And it's one thing that I've developed is like I try to shoot in such a dynamic and depth.
Right.
That people can notice different things in the frame, like kind of like I'm seeing it in real life, and they get to live through that.
Okay.
That's how I shoot.
That's awesome. Yeah. I want to go back. I'm a big storyteller myself, like starting the Angler's Hatch sophomore year, doing the t-shirts, doing my own freelance marketing thing, like just kind of being like and I would like to consider myself an authentic kid just because I've done different things and I'm all about the story, right? Like just jotting stuff down in my field notes, kind of following that whole process. Go back to sort of your like being authentic thing, and where did that source from when you were like, oh, I want to be an authentic filmmaker? Like, I think the story is so powerful, you know? Talk a little bit about like storytelling within filmmaking.
I think I'm trying to remember the author that said this, but I think everybody kind of goes through like a sense of writer's block.
Okay.
And especially when you're writing like narrative pieces, or if you're even like trying to like tell something for like a brand.
Yeah. Okay.
I always kind of go into something and it's like, what, like, say for example, like working with a brand.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what do you want your customers to feel? And that's like one of the main questions I always ask, because it's like,
not so much like look at or buy. Okay.
Right. It's like basically like, what do you want them to feel like? How do you want them to like there's like a look and texture to like every video. And like, say for example, like if I'm like working with a golf company, I may like want to show the emotion, the intensity of like that golfer, and like maybe like their work ethic and practice to like learn their skill, right?
Yeah.
I may not worry about other things like that don't make sense to like what I'm trying to showcase. But the authentic side was more or less like, if you're forcing a story too much, you're basically getting off on different like weird tangents, and people can't connect to it because they just don't understand it. So, like I said, I'm trying to think of this author's name, but there was basically, it's like, just tell your story and adapt it to how you want someone to interpret or feel about it. So I think, for example, like if I'm writing like a short story, I might be like, say I had a bad day, and I'm just like, I just want to like decompress. Like maybe I'll do like a diary about like my day. And so, say for example, like Fable right now. If I wrote a story about her right now, she's like, I'm upset, I'm trapped in a cage.
She's not having the best day.
I want to hang out with you. Maybe like you could like share the interpretation of like you're like in a tight space, like you have all these emotions running through your head, and then you like jot those down in a narration. And those are just your feelings that you're then sharing with somebody else. And that's how I'm staying authentic with my storytelling.
Cool. Yeah.
I answered that the best way I could.
No, that makes total sense, dude. Yeah. Cool. Well, just a couple questions to wrap up. I call this segment the final round. It's just like 3 or 4 quick ones.
Yeah.
First one, what's the favorite piece of gear that you shoot with?
I love. So I'm shooting with a Sony A7 III right now.
I've heard that is just.
It's just like the everything from like basically like the basic dynamic range, the autofocus. Like it's a dream to just work with.
Yeah.
And then you just match that up with all the other accessories that go along with it. It's great.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. I've heard Sony makes good stuff.
I love it. I mean, we've got a A6300 over there just hanging out. I love that too. So.
You love Des Moines. What city would you live in if you didn't live in Des Moines?
If I didn't live in Des Moines, I'd probably live in like Boston and New York City. Those are the two. I'll toss it up to those.
Okay.
So.
Best couple places to eat in Des Moines.
So if you haven't been to St. Kilda Surf and Turf, I recommend that.
Okay.
Honestly, that just takes the cake. Like, I think any like St. Kilda restaurant you go to.
St. Kilda just does it.
Yeah, Alex is killing it.
Yeah,
he's doing a great job.
He does a good job.
I always think of like things like in terms of like, if I was going to take somebody out, I'd probably go to like St. Kilda, and then I'd go to like Black Sheep. If it was like coffee, I'd go to like Horizon Lime, like those kind of things.
Mars, I gotta plug my Mars homies.
Mars is great. Yeah. The OG Des Moines.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Funny question. Go to podcast listen. Exclude Gary V.
Yeah, no, I don't even listen to Gary.
You just watch his videos.
Don't listen to Ask Gary V.
Okay, neither do I. See, I wanted to ask you that off camera. I was like, do you watch his videos and listen to the podcast? I
haven't watched a Gary V video for probably a good 2 months.
Okay.
And it's just because like it just doesn't fit. Like it doesn't fit into my workflow of my day anymore. Anyway, but my go-to podcasts, I've got 2 of them. Because one of them's no longer around, but I still listen to it. It's Thinking Sideways, which is like a murder mystery and like mystery kind of podcast.
I feel like I've heard of that.
Oh, it's great.
Okay.
It's great. If you want to like lose an hour and a half of your day and just like listen to 3 people from Portland like ramble. And then I have to shout out my good friends, Seth Breedlove, who I was just did a film with. he runs something called Monsteropolis.
Monsteropolis.
And I don't know. I just love like paranormal podcasts because like my life is so serious that
Yeah.
sometimes I just want to hear about some kooky, weird tales.
A little change in pace.
I mean, I've got like Gary V books, and then I have a
ghost stories. I saw that.
Yeah.
I was like, dude,
So
whoa.
I don't know. It's just fun to think about.
That's cool. Cool. Well, thanks so much for coming on again. I really appreciate it. And best of luck with everything.
Absolutely.
Like, I'll put a link to your videos and your Vimeo site. So
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks for tolerating me and Fable.
Yeah.
Ready to get out.
Of course. Yeah, I'll let you go.
Yep.